What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I am once again joined by my good friend Sway, and we are here to celebrate an anniversary. Technically, I mean, there's multiple kind of anniversaries going on. The game a year ago was already out for the deluxe edition owners. It actually officially turns a year old tomorrow, and the 1 year birthday to me is tomorrow. Not, I mean, I played it early, and a lot of people got the deluxe edition, right? But many people, day one, but. We're here to celebrate the game, talk about, the lead up, where we're at a year later. And I want to bring Sway in, fellow Hogwarts enthusiast, I believe, right?
Yes.
So Sway, how you doing?
I'm doing well. We are ready for this.
I always forget my wand. I have a wand from Universal in my room, but I always forget to take it. Well, how do you feel? Is it like, to me, it's kind of surreal that it's been a year. I mean, I'll be honest, a lot's happened and a lot happened leading into it. But the fact that we're like a year out, and kind of like even more exciting of these games don't take forever. They feel like they take forever, but they take, 4 or 5 years. So we're a year down and, a year closer to eventually repeating this, with Hogwarts Legacy too. So how do you feel?
It kind of feels surreal. I noticed, and what really reminded me of is I noticed that the Hogwarts socials were more active.
Yeah.
And I was like, I checked there. I was like, man, like it seems this is February. Like it is coming up. Oh my God. Yeah. And, they're showing all the bloopers and I'm just going to think about it. And it's just like, it feels like this game has had so many different, like it just comes back into circles. Like the Switch release, which was months after the regular release. And, like that had its own thing. Yeah. Then, just I'm going to say a few weeks ago, like they were talking about how, even though we already knew the Hogs, the Haunted House, we knew that was timed, but even that started making the news rounds again. Yeah. And just everything surrounding the game is Grammy Award winning now.
Yeah.
It is definitely
it finally won.
Finally won. It's a shame that the Game Awards did not acknowledge this game, but the Grammys did. However, even with that, like it was a topic because it wasn't nominated at anything in the Game Awards. So it was like this, and then for it to have the amount of sales that it wound up having, beating out Call of Duty and other games for the most part, it's just one of the most triumphant stories you've ever seen. Like it was a special game on the aspect of how long Wizarding World fans were waiting for a game like this. And to have it for a year into the ups and downs before launch and the ups and downs after launch, and just seeing in the state of the game and where it is, it really does make the 1 year anniversary very special because in spite of everything it had to go against, it still thrived and succeeded.
All right. Very well said. Well, I want to say happy 1 day early birthday to Juan. Birthday to my birthday. Tomorrow's my birthday too. So your birthday was on the they'll always be tied. The standard release of the game along with your birthday. Yeah, no, you're right, Sway. It's like it had. But there's different eras with this game. Like it had the build up, and I want to talk about all of these parts. And the game comes out, and for all that was said and everything that happened, here we are a year later. And you know what? Well, number one, the game, highest selling game in 2023. But I think the January, at least the UK, maybe it was even US too. But I think Hogwarts was like third or second, and Zelda was below it. I think Call of Duty was again below it. So Hogwarts continues to do extremely well, even now. And I think this is going to be a game that probably sells, maybe another 3, 4, 5, 6 million as this year goes. I wouldn't be shocked if we heard 30 million. Like that would really be like the next big number, maybe 30, 35. You're having Red Dead over there, announcing like 70 and GTA. But I think Hogwarts can be a 30 to 40 million when all's said and done 3 years from now. I think maybe 40 million units. Getting ready for Hogwarts Legacy too. So it's wild. I mean, none of those boycott movements, really worked, I think.
Nothing. Had no effect on it.
What's going on, buddy? What are you going to say?
I said, no, it had no effect on it whatsoever. The most effect that it had was on the people who decided to play the game, buy the game, and just wanted to enjoy the game. Other than that, it was not slowing this game down. And I mean, we already knew it wouldn't, but just to actually see that it didn't was kind of different.
like we could, and I mean, I'm a very confident guy, and I kept saying it, but yeah, it feels good to not just say it, but to see it in action. I mean,
Yeah.
like yeah, we like you said earlier, it's what fans have been waiting for forever. So you knew it was gonna. I think for me, the turning point was whether it was maybe that preview event, like a few when they invited the people to Universal, and they invited just Wizarding World people that had never like played video game. I mean, like their gameplay wasn't astounding or anything, but I think what that proved and what it showed, I think like in real time, what I started to think was, oh, this is. And we said it like this is going to be something that people almost buy consoles for, or they borrow. I mean, I was saying that they borrow console from like a brother or sister just to play this game. And when those people went to Universal for that preview, you had hundreds of thousands, watching that content that
Yes.
literally were that. They read the books, they had never played, they didn't maybe even have they bought PS4s, instead of even PS5s, they bought PS4s. And like we saw it. And that was really the start. That Universal thing was like, okay, that prediction that it's going to get people that played a game within the last 10 years, it started to happen. Like we started to literally see it, So.
It was an event that anybody who grew up reading or watching Harry Potter was not going to miss. Even if they weren't gamers, they were not going to miss. I had family members who don't own consoles. I've seen it firsthand. They were asking my other cousins to borrow theirs so that they can go and play it. And that was a whole process, I heard, because they had to figure out the fundamentals of how to play a game. But nevertheless, you just see how it impacts people and how they were going out of their way to find a way to get this game because it is part of the lore and it is part of the experience. And just being able to walk around Hogwarts, and it's the closest you're going to get to really be able to walk around there unless you're actually at one of the locations and kind of, get to interact with the stuff that you want to interact with.
Yeah. And as time has gone, Hogwarts Castle continues to be, one of the best parts of it. And in terms of exploration, I think it is the best part. And the rest, I mean, they created the world, and I think they did a pretty good job. I think what hurt the world was just the repetition of a lot of the side stuff, which I think they heard loud and clear. I really believe that they know that they did too many of the, whether it's Merlin trials or collecting the pages or whatever. But they did a really good job making the world. They did a phenomenal job, of making Hogwarts Castle. And I sometimes like stop and think just for like a few minutes, every week or so, like how, like what kind of meetings go into, like with the employees, like what kind of research and how long does it take to eat? And I should maybe try to get Troy back and like ask him, because I really want to know, like, how many meetings, how many man hours does it take to even just like sketch out the layers of Hogwarts before you even start, rendering it, and kind of like, how do you even do it? How many times did you have to read the book, right, to like get it all? Or did you look at other games? Like that feels very hard to me. And that's just designing the castle. I'm sure gaming is hard to do in general, making it, but
I would imagine that they would have to how can I say, like, because with comic books, for example, I easily hold a lot of knowledge. I'm able to kind of, for the most part, depending on what it is, like say like this came from this specific issue, this page, yeah. You would have to have like a few super fans to be able to cut time in my, like, that's what I would think, and work with a team of people who would, I don't know if that's what happens and they just read it on their own, but I couldn't fathom somebody's job just being like they have to read it all. As much Harry Potter as there is out there, as large as them books are, and it's just insane. Either way, it's really taking a lot of time. But I mean, if I was them, I'm hiring a super fan that's just going to be able to like kind of, work with me here and just show me, like, hey, this is where it happens, and this is where all the important moments.
Even even a super fan, like even if you know your stuff down to the minute details of paintings on the walls and just even the different corridor. Like there's so many specifics with the like specifically the castle and the staircase, and just so many things that I think you'd get tripped up, even if you really know your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Even if you are. So I really, I don't know. I think you'd have to have whole sketches and just constant revisions of this should go there, that should go there. But you know what? The good news is When you're done, you're done. There's
Yes.
no, oh, well, we can just add on, and I think that's good. At least you just have to do it one time, make it look better, over if there's future games and stuff, but you don't have to change it. In fact, you should, because it
No.
wouldn't make sense to. Except for maybe paintings, if it's a different era, you'd have maybe different things going on, but the structure, unless like things are under construction, like different wings of the castle aren't built yet. So quick hello to everybody. Hogwarts will always be tied to me on that specific date. I love it. Didn't miss much. We're just going over our appreciation of this game. What's going on, guys? Taladia plays. What's going on, buddy? Well, I always like the controversy part to this, and it's hard to drop it just because it was a thing we had leading into it. They wanted to make it a big deal. They were the ones putting people on lists, so I feel like it's only right to laugh at them literally whenever possible. I know that gets me in trouble and it does other things to my career, but I like to talk about it. So, I mean, what do you think just from the controversy standpoint of where we're at? Do you think they have to try it again, right? You think they would do it again for Hogwarts Legacy 2? They can't just give up.
I don't think that it's at this point mainly about them giving up more than it is just you've seen how much of the fan base really battled through to fight against that, and that kind of shows that it's back to what I said when we were originally talking about this last year, where I brought up a Batman quote. Be the hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that's what it is. It starts off with a good cause, and then when you go too far, when you go as far as we're gonna set up places to throw rocks at people standing in line to buy the game, we're gonna hound streamers for playing it and things of that nature, and it just did not work because there's a lot of people who are a fan of this that don't have anything to do with the things that go around or the creator, none of that. They just want to enjoy an IP that they loved, and that just goes to show you with anything really now, that I think that was really the first stepping point where a lot of fandoms felt comfortable to stand up for themselves and kind of say like, hey, we don't care what you're trying to do here or what controversy you're trying to start there. We're just trying to enjoy and have a good time here. That's it.
Yeah, and it helped. I think it helped the cause that it was single player. Because one argument they tried to make was you're playing it, so you're harming other people. I don't think you could even make that argument if it's multiplayer, because again, you're all choosing to play it, even though you're playing it together. You're still choosing. But single player, it's like you're in your own home. You bought the game and you're there. There's nobody around you. You're enjoying it. Nobody's watching. It's you in the game. And it's like that for many pieces of media. It's you in a book. It's you in a movie. Like, it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, it really it got away from them, I think, really quickly, because she's such a boogeyman. And you have to say, because it's like their MO, you have to say that everybody is like that. And there's just too many Wizarding World fans. Like, they wish there was less of them, right? If they want you to believe there's less of them. But in reality, there's probably anywhere between 30 to 60 million Wizarding World fans. And that's probably a low estimate. That's people that I guess are willing to spend money. There's probably even more people that are kind of quieter about it. There's probably 100 million plus Wizarding World fans. And you can't tell them all that they're the scum of the earth. Like, you start like that and immediately, you've lost.
It boggles my mind that Star Wars fans has not had this type of like equal rebellion. Like it's out there and it happens, but not as on the scale of what happened with Hogwarts Legacy. It just kind of, I think that just goes to show you how much passionate, one fandom is versus the other. I mean, the other probably had it beaten out of them at this point.
Yeah, I think Star Wars had it crushed. Their souls are just crushed.
Yeah. So I don't know how. I didn't expect like the result being what it was, but even content creators came out and was just like, I'll never forget Mighty Keith's video brought up so many good points.
And that got me into him. And you had talked about, a lot of average Joe. Well, I mean, he's obviously much bigger and he's got the comedic side, but you had channels that are just variety channels that gave it chances. And I think one thing the game did do, like I'll criticize it for it kind of was for everybody, but because it did a little for everybody, it didn't push it that far in one respect.
Yep.
But to give it some credit, I think that worked out. Like overwhelmingly, that was the right move, I would probably say, because it was so open to so many people jumping in. So it was a little bit for everybody, and that allowed people that if they wanted to just fly around on a broom, or if they liked or if they just wanted, and like I could never do it, but some people literally just spent like 50 hours walking around the castle.
Yeah.
And and that's a game that's a really almost cool reminder that happens, because it's like I'll never do that. Like I'll look at it. I'm sure there's parts of the castle I haven't seen.
Oh,
Like
for
I
sure.
literally probably,
Same.
but there are some people that would take, and I remember seeing comments 3-4 months in that they didn't even beat the story yet because they're just exploring. And that doesn't happen for all. In fact, most games that does not
No.
happen, right? Maybe like the Red Deads of the world or this, it's a pretty special situation.
Yeah, I think honestly that was one of the things that I had reached a point. I'll never forget. I reached a point in the story where I was like, all right, I'm starting to lose some steam here.
Yeah.
And I started exploring,
Yeah.
and it kind of like it brought me back a little bit. I started reaching areas that I don't know if the story did take me down the line, but I just was remember like I ain't went here before. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here before. I started seeing other type of enemies that I'd never seen before. I was like, okay, but it's just that fact that you can find a different place, not only in the castle but outside the castle, that you've never seen, that the story did not take you. And the story itself was really good, but exploration, I think maybe like out of everything that I played last year, every game that I played last year, I had the most fun as far as exploring a landscape in Hogwarts Legacy than anything.
Yeah. We said it when it came out, and I think it's evolved a little, changed a little. The idea that, was it held up because it's a Hogwarts game, and that's like the main thing, but it's an average game, let's say, using the Hogwarts Legacy kind of magic. And again, like I think you can say that, and I think that is kind of true.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, it's got ebbs and flows where I'm not upset by that because there is still that magic. And I think it still just comes back to we don't have games like this.
No.
So you can move around. I mean, you'll be doing the same basic things you do in other games. And you could say, well, is it cheap? Because like the magic kind of props it up. Yes and no, because like it is still magical. Like as long as if you think it's magical, or it's that extra thing, then it is. And that's just kind of my long-term takeaway is, yeah, there's average parts to it, but it's still the Wizarding World part to it does make it unique. And is it like a cop-out thing? I guess, but I also don't really care because it is what it is. So if it was a more saturated market, then it would be a problem. If we had 30 of these, then it's lazy or you're just using, but it's not. It's you're only getting one of these every 15 years, So maybe and that's why I've said like the second game, there's not as many. I won't be giving them as many excuses or like they're gonna have to work for it. I think they will. I think they'll do fine. But this game did get a little of that, and you do lose that for the next game. But I'm willing to give this game, several like write-offs.
Yes, and I think that as it should for this one specifically, because this was also the foundation. Just like making any game, you have to make the foundation so you can build on top of it. Spider-Man 2018 had to make the foundation in New York, and then goes into the second one. With Hogwarts Legacy, I just felt like the foundation was very strong and built at the first one, and you can kind of never escape with like an already established IP as far as like leaning on the magic, because that's literally what if you're making a game about Hogwarts, you have to. That's what you're there for. I wouldn't give it any bonus points for that, but where the bonus points comes in is how many times have we played a game that was based on an existing IP,
right?
And that game does not get everything right. You're playing it, but you don't feel like you're in this environment. They literally, every nook and cranny, they got it down. And that's where I'm like, you get all the points, because it's, while you're having a crutch because it is Hogwarts, because it is, the Wizarding World, you also have to get mad respect for like being able to bring that there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crutch, but it's like, it's by design. Like, that's the whole point. And the game itself didn't really work to earn that, but actually one person in particular kind of worked rather hard to earn it, oddly enough. And maybe that's where they're coming from, these people that attack. I think some of the fans will end up getting a new console at some point and then buy a new copy for it. Imagine someone playing it on the Switch and being able to play on the PS5 in a year or so. I can easily imagine people buying a copy when 2 is near. Yeah, this is a game that I think, like I said, I think it probably does hit 30 this year. And then I could see it just continue to climb. And then when we're in the year or the year before, when 2 comes out, it's that game that's just always, like GTA 5 is always in the top 10. And actually that boggles my mind, because it's like, who doesn't own it? In fact, who doesn't own 2 units of GTA 5 at this point? You know what I mean? Like, how is it? It has to keep selling like 100,000 plus a month. It has to. And like, who are these people? Who are these people?
GTA, I bought PlayStation.
Was it 2013? Is that when it came out? Or
I owned it PlayStation 3, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC. So I am one of those offenders badly. And then Hogwarts, even I own on PC and PS5. So
I think that's what's gonna do it, is, or if it comes on the Switch 2 or something, and I think you try for it. Like, this is a game that, why not? If Skyrim does it, if these games do it, why not try it? But yeah, no, it's magical. No pun intended. Like, it's gonna just keep selling. Anton, what's going on, buddy? How many times did you guys play Hogwarts since you? Oh, that's a good question. And I hope the journalists who got mad at it before it comes out don't try to go after the second one. I think they're gonna try. I controversially believe that. I think they're just too dug in, and I do think things might change in like within the next 2, 3, 4 years. So maybe by the time it comes out, it's less popular. But I don't know. It'll be more funny. To me, it'll be more funny because it's like, you people lost worse than you could ever imagine, and you're gonna really try a second time. And then when the game, I think the game will inevitably not sell as well. Like, I doubt 2 sells as well as 1. I think it still does insane, but I just don't think it would repeat. And then I wonder, like, would they go after that, saying, "Oh, look, we did it." It's like, well, I was never gonna do it. But to answer that question, I've only played it once. I've only played the game one time. What about you? I'll go more into it, but
so after it originally released, I was playing it. I know it took me a long time to get through it, and then I just stopped playing after a while. Then I came back to it. I want to say like maybe about 2 days ago, I had it in mind to start playing it again, because that I noticed that they were acting up like the 1-year anniversary might be coming up. So then I was like, all right, yeah. So I've reinstalled it actually. So that's actually a good question, because I am going to play it probably within the next week.
I mean, I remember getting not really overwhelmed, but like, my life was Hogwarts Legacy and I would not say like that 5 years. Like, it, I started it and I kept talking about it, but I would say when it came out, like, I'd say, and I think I would know the number if I looked, I think probably for maybe 25 to 30 days before, I made a video a day, every day, for no joke, 20 to 30 days. And then when the game came out, I think I covered it like 15 more. So I think maybe 45 days every day. So I did get burnt out, where I was like, okay, like, it's such a big part of the channel. And I liked it. I liked the game a lot. I think I'd love it, but I don't think it was like the best game I've ever played or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with stepping away. And my wife, we actually had 2 copies. Like, they gave me one, and then we did buy it. So I did buy it, out of our own pocket. My wife played it. So I did watch her play through, and I played it. So technically maybe twice if you count that. But I'll go back. I think for Back to the Past, I think I'll maybe play it next year or the year after. Maybe every like couple of years I'll play through.
It's Friday afternoon. Celebrate the start of the weekend with your Alexa routine.
Oh, that's Alexa.
Have a good one.
That thing just always
5 o'clock every time.
Plenty of fans from all over the globe, and now their children. Yep. I love the dungeons and the puzzles you found in them. You know what game I really liked in that game is the when you move the balls.
Yes.
I really like that. I'm a sucker for those kind of simple. Like they're not Gwent, but they're fun. You know, they're for what they are. They're fun. I want more of those kind of things.
I hope they give us a more variety of it, because that was one of my favorite things to do. Is just like every time I beat one of the computers, I mean, like one of the CPUs, I'm just like, ha.
Yeah. It was just a fun little thing that I think every few missions it would do another challenge, and there was a couple, and I think you fought the professor, and then you won. And it's like those. I really wanted Wizard's Chess. I still do.
That's
I think
definitely
that was a missed opportunity.
It's got to.
I really think that was a missed opportunity. What do you think about? And actually, because the next thing, there's two. Well, you know what? In a couple comments is the combat. We'll talk about the combat. That could easily add in a few extra Easter eggs, etc., for people to go out exploring to find. Plenty of worlds to add. Yep. And this summer we might get something. Now, again, I don't think it's going to be much. I really don't think it's going to be much. But I'd love to be proven wrong. The combat was genius. Different types of spells and a variety of spells for each type. Okay, what did you think about the combat?
The combat was the biggest surprise in the game to me.
Yeah.
I think everybody expected that the aesthetic would be at least somewhat like on point, and even that surprised us. But the biggest surprise for me was that combat, because they found a way to kind of do the Arkham thing without with wands, and it was just it was incredible. It felt smooth. It didn't feel out of place. As you gain abilities and different spells and learn how to chain it together into different combos, I thought that was innovative, just figuring out how to do it within the restraints that you have. Definitely, probably as far as like an aspect of the game, that and exploration. Can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, the combat, I feel pretty safe in saying it was my favorite part of the game. I still think about the combat every like I'll just randomly think of the spells, and they to think that they captured that free flow, and they did and we talk about again a little bit of generalized things for like a general audience, but the combat itself is actually like, well, I think we would pick it up pretty easily. A general audience that is there, that read the books and plays a game every 10 years, that combat might actually be quite a bit for it. So those difficulties where they really walk you through it, I think those are very necessary, I think, because the combat does have some complexity. It's got enough even for hardcore players. I think there's, enough there. And again, I think the foundation, the castle is done, and the castle lore-wise, again, you can't really mess with. And the combat, I mean, I think you literally stick to that, a little robotic, a little stiff, but I think it works. I think it's on purpose, and I think that's how it should be. That's already built. Now you just add spells and variants and stuff, and I think you just literally stick with that. And you maybe work on like the combos or chaining things together. Like that's maybe something you can continue to push as you go. But the basic style of blocking and the bubble around you, those are all things I think you just keep. There's nothing wrong with them. They're very, very solid, and you just keep building, from there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like that going forward, I wouldn't really touch it too much. I mean, we have everything you could think of. We got the unforgivable curses. I mean, it's
I think you need to build in some lore reasons why we're doing some of this stuff. I think that's
and repercussions.
Yeah.
Other than just the students kind of giving you the side eye.
And there's one thing I will take back, because I went after, I think, an IGN journalist for this, may have got me blocked. But I think if I could take anything back, I would defend the attacks, or like going into the game where journalists were questioning why you could do these things. I was pretty aggressive coming back in defense of Hogwarts, and I think that would be a weak element of the game and something I would walk back. That you got to have a reason. It did feel very weird, and I think people made skits about it and comedy. And actually, I think I was watching an Angry Joe, maybe like the top 10 best games, and he showed a part of his review of Hogwarts, and it was a skit where they're just talking to each other, and then he does like an unforgivable curse, and they're like, "Why you do?" But like the punishment is so not severe, right?
No.
It's very it's very comedic. You can make a lot of comedy off of it, but there's got to be. You can't just be doing Avada Kedavra to people without. You can't do that again. I don't think people are going to let that slide. You know,
I think what would go better with that is if they had a path system where like you can walk either say a good path or a bad path, and doing those curses obviously will get you down the bad path, which would have different levels of consequences, which would change the gameplay dramatically. That's how I would have done it. But with that being their first game, I'm like, I'll let that fly.
I'll let it fly. And there was canceled or pulled aspects that people did the data mining, and there was a police system where people would talk to the teachers. I forgot
about that.
Yeah. So if you did a curse, people would report you, and you would get. I believe everything was kind of tied to house points. So, and I think that was good. I mean, that's a lot of games have cut content and things that maybe would improve specific elements. That is definitely one that, and I think you probably start there. When you go to, if you do literally a Hogwarts Legacy 2, those cut ideas of that kind of punishment thing, that's one of your first go-tos as something you can tell people, that we're adding to the game. That's the first thing that I go to is that. Never played GTA 5. Oh my god. Played GTA and GTA 2. I always loved GTA 4. That was a bleak game. And just the colors. GTA 4 is just a bleak looking game. I was very like, have you ever seen the picture that was going around Twitter of like the PS3 era? Or not, well, PS3 and 360 where like all those games have that just like the color scheme. And it's like Gears, Resistance, like all of them look dark and gritty. You ever seen GTA is one of them too. They all have the same color palette, like maybe like 12 different games. Yeah.
I was just replaying Devil May Cry 4. Same color.
I've been seeing your push for DMC 6.
Yes.
I hope. You got a 360. Oh, nice. Oh, I skipped a couple. I don't want to skip any. Quality or performance? Always performance. Quality or performance. Always performance for me. Yeah. Is quality the other what it's called?
Quality, like normally I always see like games.
Is it fidelity? Is that what it is?
Fidelity is what I would call it, but like I noticed when games like give you that option, do you want like quality or performance? That's normally how they divide it.
Yeah, I always go performance. I think the Harry Potter TV series releasing might take some of the hits from those people. That's a good point. Everybody will be attacking the show. They won't be looking, in the game. That's true. The game might fly under the radar from the attacks. Same with Hogwarts. Have it on PC, Collector's Edition, Xbox Series, PS5, and Switch. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and people said leading into that game that they were going to buy multiple, and whether it was to stick it to the haters or just to do it, people said they were going to do it, and they did it. They legitimately did it. Now, like I said, you can't always rely on that. Like, the game can't rely on hate. You can't rely on people buying it to spite others because it'll work, but it won't work forever. And you never know when it's not going to work. So it's risky to depend on it. But credit to people. Like they absolutely, I would call nobody a liar. People followed through. And when they said they were going to buy 3 versions, they bought 3
did.
Yeah, they did. So I'm very pleased with that. I just don't know if they do it again. When Hogwarts Legacy 2 comes out, are you going to do it again? Sequel might sell just as well, if not better, considering the synergy and marketing with the TV series and the new expansion of theme parks. That's true. The show
they would have to come up with a very compelling marketing scheme to get the story across, and that story is going to have to be really good, like something that really entices people. I think that is possible for sure, but it's going to take some work. I mean, getting where they are now, especially in the landscape of where the gaming industry is right now, I think that it's going to be tough for any game that's not Call of Duty to kind of sell that right now. So it's possible, but I don't know where that landscape is going to be by the time we get there.
Like Ragnarok outsells God of War, Spider-Man 2 maybe outsells Spider-Man, but not yet, right? We have to wait and see. Horizon did not outsell, Zero Dawn. So, and this game just starts so high. That's the thing for me. I want it to. Like, if this game also does just as well, if not better, that's fantastic. I obviously want that, but this game just starts so high that I do get worried. And I guess, you know what? it's probably just another test for the IP. You know, really, I'm almost like I'm almost one of these people. You know, they're so against it because only a few franchises can do this, right? When you have a franchise that's this big, that's like GTA, Red Dead, COD, maybe Battlefield back in the day, Zelda, maybe like a Mario Kart. So you can really only come up with maybe 10 or so, right? These are games that they all do so well, and then the next one somehow beats it. But there's very few. And so I guess I'm concerned that Hogwarts isn't one of them. But again, you know what? It's one of the biggest IPs on planet Earth. And it proved everybody, the naysayers, wrong, the first time. So we'll see. Like, we'll see if it is one of those franchises that, even though it started so high, it's just that big that it actually can continue to go higher. But only a few. I mean, I can only think of like 10 or so, The Sims 3. Oh, man. Sims 2 is my go-to. Sims 2, but Sims 3 is a great game. But Sims 2 was my go-to one. My lowest expectations for combat were Call of Potter style, like Deathly Hallows. Like, oh yeah, some of those late Harry Potter games, and I wanted to go back to them, like the Connect ones.
Yeah.
And I think Deathly Hallows might have been a Connect game too, but those games were so bad, so bad. I did see the Suicide Squad thing, the calendars. I'm gonna make a video on that. I'm gonna talk about that later. Spec Ops: The Line. So, Sway, let me just rant for just a second here. So, did you see the whole Spec Ops: The Line getting delisted?
No.
Okay, so Spec Ops: The Line, right? So you can't get it digitally, right? So you can only get it physically. So I've become, I think, I think I can match my collection up with a lot of people. I have a legitimate collection. Spec Ops: The Line was going for maybe $10, okay? $10. And I had seen it on eBay and Mercari and all this stuff. And I got Vanquish. I got Sleeping Dogs. I got Dragon's Dogma. I got all these, that era of game. They're all $10, right? So Spec Ops: The Line gets delisted. Would you like to know what the price is now on average of this game? It's $60. So it was 10, now it's 60. I had numerous opportunities to buy the game, and now I have to spend, and I'm going to buy it because it's an elite game. But because I'm literally someone who pushes to buy games physically, and that covered when it was delisted. And I made a big mistake there. So there you go.
That I could go on rants about that myself, because me and you, one thing that we connect on is physical. Yeah. And this whole push, this whole thing with Microsoft, totally getting rid of their physical division. Ubisoft backing, like the idea of it. I just cannot believe. I mean, I can, because we knew it was coming, but I'm just sitting here just watching it happen. Like,
now that's actually happening. Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but we need more limited run games here right now. Anyone else, more companies that offer it. If the consoles allow us to get like a physical disc drive and just allow other people to make, like, I don't care how they do it. Just give us the option to have it. You don't have to do it, but let a third party do it.
Yeah. The rumor with that next Xbox console is it'll have
all digital.
You have to buy the detachable disc drive. Yeah.
Which I will buy it.
Yeah. And as long as it's always compatible with a disc drive, then I'll always be okay with it. But,
same.
I am gonna I've thought about covering Sims 2 on the channel. I have. What happened to this is something I will say. I appreciate their communication. I appreciate whatever they're going to give us in the summer. They didn't have to do that. So I will, because again, I'm not setting my expectations high. Whatever they give, if it's a freaking emote, I'll be happy with it. I am slightly annoyed with that too. I think they deserve to have a little heat for that, because it's a 1 year. Now, when games have, like when Sony, right, gets Final Fantasy for a year, and then it comes out on PC a year and a half later, there is always that annoying couple months after where nothing happens. And it's like, wouldn't you think that it would be ready to go, right? So like if it's a 1 year deal, the day after, it should be ready to go on PC, I think. And that's how I've always looked at it. So I would look at this Haunted Hogsmeade as the exact same thing. It's literally done. You already made it. And so instead of doing it the day, you have to wait potentially like a year and a third to get it. So I could actually understand anybody. And I did see a fair amount of people upset on Twitter. Fair amount of people that were like, why is it more than a year? And I think that's fair, personally. So
I 100% stand by that. There's no reason why. And also, don't tell me it's exclusive for a year. If it's really exclusive for like a year and 4 months, like
right.
just be upfront.
It's still exclusive, even though the contract ended. It is literally only on one, so it's still exclusive.
Exclusive.
You know, even if they didn't say it. So yeah, I would. You know, I'm not immune to holding their feet to the fire. So like an Infamous style. Well, I don't know what that was in reference to, but that's a great game franchise. Is the combat like Infamous? No. Well, the shooting, like if they had, I can see Infamous and Hogwarts being related in that way. We're doing good, Epic. How are you? Revelio. I liked how they used the DualSense. I like the sound. I mean, we didn't really talk about the music or any of the. I mean, that nailed it. You know,
spot on. One of the best scores, I think, just in general for music and gaming. One of the best. That and Star Wars. I that is one area where it's like, you know, it's kind of tough because it's like there's a sound that Hogwarts Legacy and Survivor we're gonna have no matter what. How they made that sound come across original while still sounding like it belonged, I thought was done brilliantly in both games. I think that both games deserve their flowers for it, and I think that just the sound of the game in general, from the spells when you cast them, the wand waving, like the staircases moving, like Hogwarts as a school, as a character, just sounded great every time you walk through it.
Yeah. Fig as a character, I think well acted and voice. I think even the main character, like he always sounded a little off-putting in the lead up because it was kind of like one and done lines. You didn't have like the whole game to kind of build. I think it was a pretty well cast you know, I think they did a really good job. I think the game was great, but it would have been awesome if Ubisoft made it and gave it Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla combat and map size. You know, I think, well, number one, I would never want Ubisoft to touch it. So I would disagree there, but I see what you mean. And I do think people would actually very much want that. Yeah. I think people would want a massive, but you can go wrong. I mean, that's maybe where like him and I would disagree. I think those Ubisoft games are just so big, and I don't think they're like the most fluff-filled games. I think there's games far worse, but you do have that risk. You make a game that's 4 times the size of Hogwarts, you have a risk that. And here's the thing: the game already has fluff. The game, there's so many collectibles to add time to it that you don't need. But I think they wanted the game to be, you know, as big and as kind of thorough as possible. So if you make it 4 times as big, you're now doing like 500 Merlin trials. You're now doing 2,000, you know, manuscript sheets, and it's like it's not going to work, you know. So there's pros, and I think the next game will be bigger. You know, I think you would just expand the outer, you know, region. I do think they will go bigger, but bigger isn't always better. You know, I always try to say that. You know. Yeah, I imagine Revelli. I wonder what was. I assume that was maybe the most cast, or like Accio or something. You know.
Revelio was definitely mine.
You just do. You would just like click it over and over and over. That's what I did. How does it feel? It's not actually that like it is trippy, but not all 77,000 people come at one time. So it's only trippy to me like when I respond to some random person on like a bigger user on Twitter, and they like I did it to like a Persona person, somebody who was talking about Persona. And they had a following, and they said, "I watch your videos." And I was like, "Oh, like when it kind of reaches an outside region of the internet, that's when it's like, oh, that's Dom the Bomb knows me and has watches my stuff." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. He's a really nice guy." That's when it's trippy, when people much bigger than me tell me they watch me and I didn't know.
I think I speak for the community when we all say that, Alex, you are the man.
Thank you. I've been on a roll recently, and I'm excited for Hogwarts Legacy too. You know, to prop me up a little. My dead channel. You do anything special for the 1 year anniversary? No, but I am going to cover multiple Resident Evil games for Halloween. I'll probably play 2's remake is 5 years old, so that's something. I love that the sequel leans more onto the darker side of magic. Hogwarts Legacy had all the Sebastian questline. It was great, but it still felt kind of secondary. Yeah, That's the Sebastian line. And I asked Troy this, and he said, this is not the case. Was the Sebastian story the main story at some point? And he said no. It was always designed to, two separate things. I believe him. I think that it probably shouldn't have been that way, though. I think Sebastian's story literally ties into the main quest, and then is also better than the main quest. So
he is the best. I think character-wise, he is the best character.
Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, for as much as Poppy and all the memes, and she does have a lot of memes and support, Sebastian I think is the most complex, and they did the most with that character versus any other. It'd be cool even if you like transformed him as the villain, because Ranrock and all them. That was a weakness of this game too. The game was not without problems.
For sure.
Skull and Bones. I can't say much on Skull and Bones, but I think I'll be playing it, and I might be playing it early. We'll see. I like Quidditch to be in the game and not being in Legacy is almost a war crime. I would agree. I agree. It's a Wizarding World game that doesn't have Quidditch. That is a crime against humanity. Yeah.
I think it'll be.
The thing is, we said this over and over when the game came out, right? They are in a pickle. They're in a tough spot because now you have Quidditch champions coming. So you could use that as an excuse. But lore-wise, and when you're buying the ultimate live your life open world Wizarding World game, and for it to not have the most iconic sport and just an integral thing, you can't have Professor Black, do a speech to rid it away. You do have to put it in. You do. And I think that's okay. I think it'll be fine.
I'm starting to think they didn't put it in because I feel like they knew that there was a chance to make money beyond just the Quidditch game. Right. Just whatever have you. If you're making it a multiplayer game, you can do a lot of things with that sale-wise. And that may be why they didn't put it in there. But if you're going to put it in Hogwarts Legacy 2, if you feel like that's going to intertwine with each other, then I just wouldn't have a multiplayer aspect to it.
Right.
Just let it be against the CPU. Whenever you want.
Right. I think if they did another multiplayer thing instead, if they did some sort of battle dungeon or and we always brought up Ghost of Tsushima Legends, but if they did that. If they did that and no Quidditch, I think it would be okay. I think you could easily excuse it enough. I think I would come to its defense, and I think others would. So yeah. Toy Story 5, honestly, a little unnecessary. Toy Story 4, I felt was a little It's a good movie, but I think it was a little unnecessary. I didn't know a Moana 2 trailer came out until a day later. Then I saw it.
I seen of it. I haven't seen the trailer, but I seen scrolling on Twitter new trailer from Moana. I was like, okay.
I forgot because I knew about the live action, but I forgot they were doing also a second, which doesn't make any sense. But I was in the same boat as you, Alex. I waited too long. Oh, you got it for 60 as well. Yeah, see? You got to get games. When they get delisted and I make a video, me and all of the viewers, you need to buy it that day. You can't wait, 2 weeks, which I did. I looked about a week ago. Nope. A game I did buy was The Crew. The Crew is just going to be dead in March because they're shutting the servers off, and so the game is dead. But I bought it physically just in case. Maybe you still can't play it, after March, but maybe it has value because it's the CD. I'm going to cover Left 4 Dead. I'm going to cover any game epic that you can think of. If you're wondering on the Steam reviews for Suicide Squad High, it's because Rocksteady removed 5. I saw that. I seen
the headline for that. I didn't know it was 1,000.
Also, and I mean, look, you can like the game, and it's okay, and leave positive scores, but also not that many people reviewed it. So, if more people played it and reviewed it, the scores would change. I love open world single player RPG, but yes, some of them are too big and just feels like a massive chore to 100%. Yep, it's the player, because some people legit, like I said, I can't spend 50 hours just walking. I don't know what condition I have. I'm sure I have something, but I literally could not. I'd get bored. I would need to experience a story or combat, or I could not just stare at walls. I understand how other people could, but I just cannot. And if you made the game that big, you'd have people that legitimately would enjoy it, and I have no doubt. I believe them. Again, I don't think they're liars. But I just would not be able to do it. Toys for Bob. Oh man, did you see all that? The Crash and Spyro stuff.
Yeah, Spyro specifically.
Yeah,
I remember. I think you tweeted about it, and that's when I first seen it.
Yeah, because they shut the studio down, but they're going to work from home, so they're not actually shut down. But they seemingly lost most of the people that work there, so I wouldn't be all that excited for a Spyro 4 anytime soon, or a Crash 5. Although Activision seems to like Crash, so I think Crash will endure and survive.
Spyro is still being possible. It gives me hope, but this industry right now is breaking me right now. I've got to be honest. The amount of studio closures that has taken place just in 2024 alone, is insane. And I hate that a lot of those people are losing their jobs, but just for the long term. And I remember like watching you like make a video about like having the amount of games that we have, significantly cut down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but now it's just like we were already in that state, but like community wise, even we're at a point where now it's like everything's going to be looked up under a microscope. Like if there's a comic book game that comes out, why did you make a game on this character, not that character? Because I think that everybody realizes that we're not going to get the same level of output. So now, not only for the fans, but for the studios, it's going to be literally like nitpicking, picking and choosing.
That's a good. I didn't even think about that. That's a great point. Less games, which is not inherently, but it could actually be good. But the microscope of why did you pick X game will be more than ever. These games take longer, and there might be less of them now. So like both is a terrible combination, in the industry. I might be getting early access. I think I can say that I might. The odds of me getting it by like Monday or Tuesday seem relatively okay. So I should be able to get it. And it comes out Friday. But I think if you get the deluxe edition, you can play it early. I'm not playing the beta. I said I will not play this game until it comes out. And I'm serious. I've never played at the alpha or beta. People message me people have sent me the code for the alpha and stuff. And I'm not going to do it. Imagine Hogwarts Legacy Legends. Doesn't that sound bad? Oh, like the actual name, Legends. Legends just kind of works on anything. Yeah. You can put Legends on really anything. They really should. I mean, honestly, I would look to Ghost of Tsushima as a perfect. It could do multiplayer when it comes out. You could see it, but it's not like right there. It's not like super apparent. And then they drop it, and they drop it for free. For all the people that praised, and I praised, Valhalla, right? Legends did it first. Legends is a massive amount of content, multiplayer even, free. So Valhalla is also free, and it also is an entire roguelike game. But Legends, I think, did it first. So I'd like to just shout that out. I don't need or want to be playing multiplayer Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy. Well, you know what? You'll be playing it in Quidditch Champions, so it doesn't make sense to have it in two places, right?
That's why I was thinking like they didn't want to put it in,
Right.
My mind in corporate is always like, how can we make money in something? And if they thought that Quidditch was just enough on its own to like constantly have that money pit going through, they're going to separate them. But I'm thinking you can have both in both without necessarily doing it.
Yeah. Hello there, fellow Ravenclaw. Who's a Ravenclaw? Oh, right there. I gotcha. Somebody asked me what house I don't remember where, but somebody asked me what house I said Gryffindor, of course. I took the quiz and everything. I hope Hogwarts Legacy 2 is a co-op option. There's absolutely places they can take it. Again, I get worried. That they would go hard into the the MMO, I guess, rumors. I get worried that they'll take it away from what made the first game, which is a single-player RPG. That's not really an RPG. It's like a single-player open-world game. They say it's an RPG. You are role-playing to an extent, but not fully. So, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be very cool to have like other people in your Hogwarts castle. Like there's something very, but you could just make these games. Like if you made a MMO, which would take years and would cost so much money, but I think it would be successful. It's just the investment. But they have said they want to invest in DC, Wizarding World. Like they only want to invest in like 3 things, and Wizarding World is one of them. So it might look pretty okay, what open world RPG is a chore to complete Tears of the Kingdom. Did you ever beat Tears?
No. I played a little bit more. I progressively play like I say like 2 months. Like I'll go back into it. All right, let's play from here. It's like I told my friend, Breath of the Wild was such an experience. And it is one of the best games that I've ever played. Not the best, but one of the best.
Yeah.
But I went through and did everything, even the stuff that I didn't have to do. The only thing I didn't do was the cockaroo seeds. And I wouldn't have been pleased with the reward anyway. So I think that because I did that, I burnt myself out like permanently to the point where it's like, I will probably never be able to sit down and try to beat that game days on end because of how much there was in the first one.
Yeah. And Zelda's just never been a game I can play like every day, coming back and stuff. But my wife, did she beat Tears? She beat Breath of the Wild. She went right into Tears of the Kingdom. She put in like at least 50 hours, but I don't know. I'll have to ask her when she's home. I don't think she beat it either. I wonder what the percentage of completion is for that game.
Trophies would help with that.
yeah. There's no way Nintendo will ever say. Hogwarts Legacy 2 with optional co-op is fine and could work well with combining spells to defeat an enemy. Yep. Putting the ending of 5, in a game, dual wielding, or with another person, like that would be so freaking cool. Silent Hill remake release date. I don't think that's a true. I think it was possible at one point, but there's no way it's coming out next month without them, the way that things are going. I saw that. I'm gonna make a video on that. I wrote it down actually. Starfield not on PlayStation ? Wrote it right here. So I'm gonna be covering that.
That whole thing is
what a freaking joke.
it is baffling. Like at first, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think like for a company, from a company standpoint, I don't think that was a good look for Xbox. But then it was like the reporters started walking it back. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a good thing you're walking it back because I would hope Xbox wouldn't do that. I think that's a better thing for gaming in general. But I'm like, why would you already have PC, which is going to be the uniter anyway. That wouldn't make sense for you to, but it
just makes me mad. These people that start, and I like Nate the Hate is a good insider. Jez Corden, I've never had a problem with, and I like him, and he gets so many things right. But Jez Corden literally tweeted to brace yourselves for Halo on PlayStation. And then later that day, he tweeted that people are going to look silly based off what they're saying because, they're walking it back. He tweeted the biggest franchise on planet Earth of Xbox is coming to PlayStation. He did that, and then he complains that other people are doing it and that they're going to look silly. You started it. You all started it. So, and again, that's like one thing I guess I'll never forget now. Just like Special Nick with Sly Cooper. Like, I can never forget that, and I'll never forget this. I don't understand. If they caused it, he owned up to it. Nate the Hate owned up to it. He said, I'll take the L. But I don't know. I don't know what these people are doing. It's going to look bad when Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush are the only 2 games that come, and everything else was all made up. It's going to look really bad for a lot of people.
It is, because I couldn't imagine, especially with the show coming out, especially with the reinvigorated popularity of Halo coming back. I just would not believe that their flagship is just going to go. That is their mascot.
Did you watch it?
I watched episode 1. Loved it.
Yeah, that's good.
Loved it. There was some decisions that I don't know how I feel. I feel like the second episode when I watched tonight. I'm hoping that they don't go too far down these roads. But as far as from a combat perspective, a tone perspective, an aesthetic perspective, I liked it. Like when he was in the suit, he was acting like Master Chief.
I think he acted more like Master Chief than season 1 outside the suit too. Very just like straight.
Very much so.
Yeah.
He's very straightforward, no emotion, kind of just that is Master Chief. Like that's the most important thing to me. When I like started seeing him hover over somebody's body to protect them, I said, that is Chief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the top, maybe we can do like a season review when it all ends. Maybe we can do that on like Podcast Plus. That'd be fun.
I'm up for it.
All right, last couple, and then we'll head off. Hoping Hogwarts Legacy 2 is the equivalent of Red Dead 2. Yep, bigger and better in all aspects. That's definitely. I don't want to compare it to Red Dead 2 because that's such a it's such a big thing.
That's
but
high bar.
Yeah, it is high, but that you need a jump. You need the second game needs to. You can't stay the same. You definitely can't drop. And a lot of games, you look at the PS3 and 360 era of Gears of War and Uncharted and Infamous and Resistance. All of these games, the jump was maybe not Resistance. A lot of those games jumped, very high. Joined for Hogwarts Legacy stuff, but stayed for the rest. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know you've been with me forever, but I know that means a lot. I that's my hope for all of this stuff is I fool you into getting in here on one thing, and then I trap you with all the other stuff I cover. It works pretty well, except for like Scream. People aren't so willing to jump from movie to games, and I get that. I understand that. Pal World. It's gonna take a while. I know people think it's gonna happen like in a couple weeks, but like as we know from like a Haunted Hogsmeade quest takes like 4 months to do. It's gonna take, I would say, probably at least a year. I would guess. Even Baldur's Gate was pretty quick. Baldur's Gate was like 4 months, so maybe like the summer at the earliest for Pal World. I don't mind Starfield not coming to PS5. We definitely have gone off the rails, by the way. We have a boatload of stuff on PS5. Yeah, I don't care if Starfield. I mean, I like Game Pass. Always found the idea of coming to PS5 weird. I mean, they wouldn't sell too much in the first place. Yeah, Starfield was overrated. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Even though I like games to be multi-console, if a game is an exclusive to a console, then keep it like that. I think Xbox would agree with you. All right. There we go. We got through it all. So, honestly, guys, appreciate you being here. It was fun to reminisce. We'll see what comes, over the next year. And I'm sure we'll talk about it, going into the summer. They'll add stuff to Hogwarts. So that'll be fun. And we kind of just wait and see. Quidditch Champions is really the only other thing. And then eventually Hogwarts Legacy 2, which, we're far away, but we're not that far. Like, even if it's still 4 years out, you imagine next year you might get to see some like legitimate rumors and stuff. And the year after you might see it. So we might only be like 2 years away from visually seeing the next game,
And even, for everyone out there, I mean, just start the Hogwarts speculation now. I mean, just do it. I'm willing Devil May Cry into existence right now. I'm about to start speculating stuff out of nowhere. I've been replaying the series. I'm prepping up. This year, we're going to will it into existence.
I think it might happen this year. All right, guys. Appreciate all the support as always. I think I'll be live next week. I honestly don't remember and don't know what I'll be streaming, but we'll figure it out later, okay? Have a great weekend. We'll see you all on the next one.